Hey everybody! I'm finally back to do my next character review. It's been a while since I've done one. Um, my friend and I have both been busy the last week, what with him taking his finals and me now having 3 part-time jobs. Um, Fortunately, I think I finally have the schedule worked out. The hours are fortunately pretty flexible. But, well, I'm not here to talk about that. Like my friend mentioned in his video, we're doing reviews on, Miss Piggy from the Muppets and Ursula from the Little Mermaid. He did his Miss Piggy review yesterday, and I'm here today to do my Ursula review. Anyway, the complaints she has are, she's stupid, she's ugly, she's overrated, she's scary, she was defeated too easily in the climax, and she's evil. Oh, and hopefully I can get through this quickly since, well, you just saw there weren't that many complaints. So hopefully, it won't be another one of those 50-plus minute reviews. Hopefully that curse has been broken. Anyway, let's get started. Starting with, she's stupid. How? I mean, yeah, she does get defeated in the end. But she's a Disney villain. I mean, you wouldn't expect her to triumph and win. I mean, none of the Disney villains do. So saying that I can't really think of any stupid moments that she has other than her defeat. So that's pretty nitpicky. I mean, when I think of stupid villains, I think of characters like, Edgar from the Aristocats, who, kidnaps cats because, he doesn't want them to inherit a fortune before he does, and then gets defeated by by a bunch of cats, horse, and mice, or the TV version, not the original version, but the TV version of Cruella de Vil, who is always putting together these stupid plans to take over the farm and ends up having 4 puppies and a chicken defeat her. Or, I don't know, the Beagle Boys from DuckTales. Sorry, I had an itch. That always, that always have these stupid plans to rob the money bin, like, drilling a hole in it and vacuuming money out of it. I mean, to me, those are much dumber villains than Ursula is. And I mean, when you look at, like, the plan that she's come up with to take over the kingdom and become ruler of the ocean, I mean, it's a pretty elaborate, well thought out plan. Like, making the contract with Ariel to turn her human, preventing Ariel from kissing Eric before the sunset on the third day, then ransoming Ariel and for Triton and getting her hands on his crown and trident. I mean, to me, that's a pretty well thought out evil plan for taking over the ocean. So I definitely wouldn't call her stupid. That's just really nitpicky. Moving on. She's ugly. Well, she's definitely not traditionally beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean... I've heard some people argue that, she's pretty in her own, weird, twisted way. I'm kind of on the fence about it. But no, she's definitely not traditionally beautiful, but are you really so shallow that you're going to base your, like of a character on their looks? Villain or not, that's a pretty shallow way to decide whether you're going to like a character. I'm sorry. I've been over this in several reviews, like, Jack Frost being too handsome, Candace being ugly, Rapunzel being ugly, Madeline, being ugly, or Madeline should have been ugly to match Quasimodo. I've been over this in plenty of reviews, so I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but I don't care whether the character's a hero, villain, or sidekick. Basing your like or dislike of them on their looks is a very shallow and pathetic reason to do it. She's overrated. How? I mean, I personally love her. I think that she's a great villain. Very, very over the top and has some exciting moments. But she also has her haters, so I don't really see how she's overrated, and I've never seen anyone try to make her out to be better than she is. To me, when I think of villains that are overrated, I think of characters like Hans from Frozen. I mean, he's a very poorly done character. He basically, he was basically thrown in there as the villain at the last minute when they decided that they didn't want Elsa to be the villain. His development comes out of nowhere. His backstory was done poorly. Just a ton of stuff wrong with the way his character was done. Yet he's got a ton of fangirls who have these crushes on him, and, who have these crushes on him and act like he's the best character in the universe, and, I've seen a ton of fan fiction written about him reforming, about his tragic backstory, all kinds of stuff to try to make him this deep, emotional, tragic villain. I mean, to me, that's much more of an overrated villain than Ursula is, because they're trying to make him out to be much better than he really is, whereas Ursula's fans like her for who she is, and like her for who she is, and don't try to exaggerate the good things about her, and don't try to ignore the negative things about her. Another villain that I'd say is pretty overrated, though not as much as Hans, is actually, and don't hate me for this, Scar from The Lion King. To me, he's a pretty weak villain, since he had several opportunities to kill Simba. Right after Mufasa died, he could have killed him right there. Yet, he's always sending the hyenas to do his dirty work. And people make him out to be the best villain in the universe because he killed his brother. Yeah, he kind of did, but that was more the wildebeest and the hyenas that did that. And Scar was also dumb enough to blame the hyenas on the death of his brother during the climax, and then and I'm not saying that all Scar's fans do this, but a lot of them do. A lot of them make him out to be much more than he actually is. Like in a poll that I did on the Disney Villains Club, which villain would win in a fight? One of Scar's fans, who shall remain nameless, actually said that he would be able to defeat Hades, the immortal lord of the underworld. In another poll that I did, who is the most handsome Disney villain? One of Scar's fans came in and posted that Scar was. Yes, a lion. Sorry for getting off track. I just had to explain my reasoning behind that. So, no, I wouldn't say that Ursula is that overrated, especially compared to villains like Hans and Scar. Since with those two villains, you have fans that try to make them out to be more than they are and ignore their problems. Moving on. She's scary. To each their own. She never scared me as a child. None of the Disney villains really did. Like I said, the only Disney characters that really scared me as a child, like I mentioned in my Beast review, was the mutant toys from Toy Story. Some other characters that scared me as a child were ones like, Chucky from Child's Play, Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street, sorry, I had to have a drink. Chucky from Child's Play, Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street, those type of characters. But one that actually scared me that I'm sure a lot of people will find funny are the winged monkeys in The Wizard of Oz. Not the Wicked Witch, the winged monkeys. So yeah, different children are frightened by different things. So, And I mean, I even read a story online about some child that was scared of Constantine, Kermit's evil twin, in Muppets Most Wanted. So my advice to you is know your child, know what scares them. Excuse me. And if your child is the type of child to get scared by, cartoon villains, then Ursula probably isn't the type of character for them. My friend did mention that, in his Beast review, that there are some cartoon characters like, Mr. Hyde from the Page Master that still creeped him out, even as an adult. But I don't really see Ursula as being that scary. And, I mean, if you're still scared of her as an adult, don't watch the movie. So, I mean, know your children and know yourself. And, know what type of things, you and your children like to watch. That's about all I have to say. And, I mean, a child being scared by something occasionally isn't necessarily a bad thing. Especially a cartoon character. Because they do need to learn how to deal with fears. Moving on. She was defeated too easily in the climax. I guess to a certain extent, I get this. I mean, the way that Eric defeated her was by stabbing her with the bow of a ship. So, I mean, I can see why some people might think that a creature as powerful as she was would need something more powerful than that to defeat her. But I don't really know how else they would have defeated her. I mean, try to think about it. What other type of weapon would they have used to defeat her? I mean, they didn't have, like, any magical devices, laying around that they could have used to defeat her. I mean, what were they gonna do? Go down to her lair and whip up some kind of potion to defeat her or something like that? And, I mean, when you look back at a lot of the old classic villains, a lot of them were defeated pretty easily. Like, Maleficent as a dragon, being stabbed by the magical sword, the evil queen as the old hag being, struck by lightning and falling off a cliff. You know, that sort of thing. So I don't really see that Ursula's defeat was any more or less easy than those. I mean, to a certain extent, I get where you're coming from, but I would have liked to see her been defeated by something a little bit more elaborate than a bow, or a bow, however it's pronounced. And and the climax taken a little bit longer, but, I mean, if the climax had taken longer and, Eric had dodged her tentacles several times, and, then people would then be complaining that, that she was stupid because she wasn't able to squash him with her tentacles, or zap him with the trident. So, I do get this complaint to an extent, but I don't really know how else they could have done the climax. I mean, sitting here and thinking, actually I've thought about it for a while, I can't really think of any other ways they could have defeated her. I mean, she had a hold of the trident, she had, everybody trapped, so they couldn't go to her lair and get a hold of any magical devices. So, you try to come up with a better way, a more elaborate way of defeat for her. Okay? She's evil. And if you're a Disney villains fan like me, you'll know that practically every Disney villain on the face of this earth, every villain period on the face of this earth, has gotten this complaint at least once. I know myself that I've heard this complaint, or one similar to it, for practically every villain that I like. I've heard someone say things along the line of, I hate him or her because she's evil. Or, I don't like evil characters. Or, I don't like villains. Really? I mean, that's almost as bad as as the hating a sequel character for being a sequel character. Forgive me, but it is. I mean, I understand that villains are not for everybody. I don't expect everyone to be a villain fanatic like I am, but just because they're a villain, that doesn't make them a bad character. I mean, yes, there are poorly done villains that I dislike. Excuse me. Like, I don't like, Edgar from the Aristocats, Prince John from Robin Hood, Madame Medusa from The Rescuers, Sykes from Oliver and Company. I mean, there are poorly done villains that I dislike. A lot of them are Ratcliffe from Pocahontas. There are a lot of villains that are very much stereotypical, one-dimensional bad guys that are there just to be an obstacle for the heroes and heroines. And I'm not fond of those at all. But there are a lot of villains that I love, because to me, a lot of them are even more interesting than the heroes and heroines in the film and have a lot more depth to them. I mean, let me ask you this. Who's more interesting, Cruella de Vil or Pongo and Perdita? And let me also ask you this. How interesting do you think The Little Mermaid would have been without Ursula? Without the sea witch for Ariel to sell her voice to, and turn her human, and have that climax battle at the end. How interesting a movie do you think that would have been? So, while I do get that villains aren't everyone's cup of tea, and I'm not denying that there are some very poorly done, one-dimensional villains out there, I don't see the fact that a character is a villain or is an evil character. I don't see how that automatically makes them a bad character, or a character that you should hate as a character. I'm not trying to force you to becoming a Disney villain, animated villain fanatic like I am, but I do think that you need to give this some more thought. Because every time I read complaints like, oh, I don't like him or her because she's a villain. I don't like him or her because she's evil. I don't like mean or evil characters. That really gets under my skin. And it really makes me think that there are a lot of close-minded people that haven't thought about how good and deep and even complex some villain characters are, and how much they add to the story. I'm sorry about my rant. I just had to get that off my chest. Anyway, that's about all that I have to say. Thank goodness it's a short video. Ursula is one of my all-time favorite characters. I absolutely adore her. She's my second favorite Disney villain after Cruella, and my third favorite animated villain after Cruella de Vil and Mr. Freeze from Batman. I know that she's not an uber-complex character or anything, but I actually find her to be more interesting than any of the other characters from the Little Mermaid franchise. She's also in my top 10 favorite fictional characters. Anyway, the link to my friend's video will be in the comments section below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye, and see you next time.